You're very active in posting. I think that's how we connected originally. You wrote something here about it says candidates need more self-awareness because they're just generically applying to jobs that they're not even a good fit for. And
Mhm.
what are they flooding the market or something like that? What's your perspective?
I had an HR generalist role open, and for whatever reason, that is a role where everyone in the world thinks they can do it. So I had resumes from people who didn't even have a high school education. I would say over 80% of the applicants that I had for that role were not qualified. The only qualification they had was they were a living, breathing human, and they may have been perfectly pleasant. I didn't speak to them. So maybe they had a good personality for the role. I couldn't tell you, but they met none of the check boxes. They hadn't used even Outlook for email. They've never done any kind of employee relations. And they see a lot of the times a figure salary, a remote role, a role that they just think anyone can do. I think executive assistants and like admin assistants tend to fall in that category where everyone's like, oh, I can do that. That's a really hard job. That is not something everyone can just do. So I think it just takes a little bit more self-awareness on what you're applying to. It would be like me applying to a talent acquisition, VP role. I am not there. Hopefully one day, but I don't have that experience. Or seeing a role as like a talent acquisition coordinator. There's a few of them that fall within the salary range that I am looking for, so I have applied for them. I've done more than that in my career, though. So I understand them thinking I'll get bored. To me, I'm perfectly fine taking a job that is maybe under my scope of knowledge if it pays what I need it to pay. So if there's a talent acquisition coordinator out there making $100,000 that's remote, I'm willing to not use my brain as much as I have to use it to be a full-blown talent acquisition professional. Yes, the coordination is hard, the scheduling is hard. I've been an EA, so I've done that on a different level of having to play Tetris with an executive's calendar. So I get it where people are desperate for work, you're going to apply for anything. But if it says you need 8 years of experience and you only have three, you're not hurting yourself applying, I guess. You're expecting to be turned down, but you're hurting everybody else who's in that queue that does have the experience and is now backed up on being seen because the recruiter has to weed through 3,000 applicants who don't meet any of the criteria.
And it sounds like creating more work, but people aren't going to stop because they think they've got a chance just like anybody else, but
Right.
they may not. I don't know. Do you have a rule of thumb? Like, do I need to be 100% match to the job description or 20%? Or when should I say I shouldn't really be applying for this job?
My personal opinion is 70% or more should be a match. I'm okay with somebody going for kind of that next step in their career and having some boxes unchecked that you can grow into. And to me, I think it also is slightly dependent on what box that is. But like I said, experience is one of those where you generally can't wiggle. So if something says we need 7+ years of experience and you have six, okay, take that shot. You're close enough. If something says they need 7 years of experience and you have one or two, you're not going to be successful. That application is something that is easily able to be seen as not having the right amount of experience. We can just quick glance down and count up the years of experience and go, this isn't even within the realm. I would say 70 or more percent would be a safer bet because you're going to meet people who have 100% of that experience that are applying as well. And I have mixed feelings on that too, right? Is somebody overqualified? I don't love that term, but I do understand you don't want somebody getting bored. You don't want somebody who's just taking something and is going to leave it the second they find something that's a step up for them. But there's also people looking to take that step back in their career where they've achieved what they want to. They're kind of on the, maybe decline of their career and they just want to be an individual contributor again.
I'll agree with everything except the decline part, but decline. No, so I was going to bring that up. I learned this term. I was watching a YouTube recently, and he called it. He's kind of semi-retired. One guy said he was recreationally employed, so that
Oh,
means he could choose on what he wanted to do. And looking back at the percentage of the job match, you said, requires 8 years experience. The flip side of that is, I see some things that post they're very lower level. You don't need as much experience, but it says minimum 2 years required. So for somebody that's at the opposite end of their career, just wants to come back in as an individual contributor, are they getting overlooked because they have more than 2 years of experience? See what I'm saying?
Quite possibly. That's where, like, when I was talking about the cover letters. So if I get an applicant like that, one, I'm also hoping they filled out the salary portion because that might answer some questions as well. Where if my role is at, $70,000 and they tell me they need to make 200,000, I know that they're just applying because they probably saw the title, it was remote, hit apply, not quite a fit. Say they put the right salary range in there for what I have budgeted as well. I'll go look at that cover letter and see, does it mention like, okay, I'm at a director level now, but I'm, kind of ramping down in my career. I'd rather go into an individual contributor role, have more of that work-life balance. If you provide a valid reason, I'm going to talk to you and I'm going to advocate for you talking to that hiring manager. If I don't have any of that context, I'm probably passing you over, especially like I said, if you don't fill out the salary or there's not kind of a justification for why that lower role. I'm just assuming you saw a title, you saw, maybe it's remote or it's close to where you live, and you just want it for those reasons, not because it really would be a match. And then when we get into those, salary talks, you're going, oh, I want double that. I want triple that, which I've seen all too often when I get so excited about a candidate, like they have everything we want. We're getting a steal here. And then you talk to them and they're way out of budget and not flexible on it, which rightfully so. People should not bend just to take any random job, but be more intentional with your applications then.
I don't see it a lot, but it asks for salary on these applications. Is there a strategy for that, or could you just put $1, or should you just be as
Yeah,
possible?
you can put a dollar. I personally like to be honest because I don't want to waste somebody else's time. I don't want to get my hopes up that this job sounds exactly like the job of my dreams. I'm going to apply. I put, my salary range so that I know if I really am a fit. Maybe, and I know people never want to shoot themselves in the foot because if I have a budget that, let's say it's up to $100,000 for a role and the candidate puts they want 80,000, well, maybe they really do want 100. Maybe that was their last pay. It's always a conversation I have as a recruiter with my candidates. But if they would have put 150 on there, I likely wouldn't have had that conversation with them because they were over budget. So it sucks. It's hard. You can put a dollar. I'm generally then, if I'm the recruiter looking at that, I'm going to pick people who did put a real range and talk to them before I go to that person who's a dollar because I'm worried a
Mm.
dollar really means you're over my budget. I'll have a little caveat to that where if I think somebody is absolutely perfect and they put a dollar, I will still schedule a call with them. But if they're not any better on paper than the people who listed a range, they kind of fall to my back burner.
I've seen job postings now with salary. Is that a law or something I missed somewhere, or what's going on there? I think it helps. It makes things more transparent.
Yes. So pay transparency has become a law in some states. I love the states that operate with that transparency. At Unlimited Tech Solutions, we are global, we're remote, so we don't have those pay transparency requirements by law. But I believe in people knowing all of the facts before they're applying. So my personal beliefs are to post the pay. We do that as a company, and we even kind of leave it a little more open-ended on some roles where we say this is our target, but if somebody can justify why they're worth more, we can see if we can give more. And we've done it for a few roles where, like, we had a solution architect that I think topped out at 160 is what we had put, and we ended up offering 180 to a candidate. There's instances where you can bend on that, but like you said, I prefer it because then I'm not applying to something that's paying half of what I really need to make and thinking that it's this great opportunity that really wouldn't work for me long term.
That's a good idea. I mean, if everybody's negotiating in good faith, or
Mhm.
you're saving yourself time, you're saving the
Yeah.
recruiter who has a job. They have time like everybody else.
The other kind of flip side from like my standpoint would be, are people just putting the top of the range to put the top of the range? Because, hey, you say you have up to 160,000 budgeted. Of course I want that. Maybe my last salary was only 120, but if you're going to offer me $40,000 more, I'm not going to say no to it. So there's kind of that balancing act of having to have some trust in people.
When we started this off, you have a background in recruiting, so you also bring a lot of value on LinkedIn. Again, this is not a LinkedIn show, but that's where I met you. So you provide good commentary. I mean, I think you provide heartfelt content, but you're also providing content from a recruiter's how to make it easier for you to help people. Here's an example of one that you posted something about include your email and phone number on your resume. Yeah, yeah, that's 101, but obviously people weren't doing it. So I think that's great. I think anybody that's listening should follow you, if nothing else, just to see what you're offering them from the recruiter's perspective.
Oh, thank you. Yes. And sadly, that post came about for a job that was budgeted in the 150 to 200 range, and I still had people not putting a phone number. I had
Really?
one person go as far as entering a fake phone number into the ATS. And then luckily, like that person was someone I did reach out to schedule an interview with. And they emailed me the day before saying, oh, by the way, I put a fake phone number in your system. This is where you should really call me. And I'm like, why?
It's a lot of work, a lot of planning.
Yes.
What do they say? Don't tell lies because if you tell lies, you have to have a great memory or something like.
Yes. Well, and what people don't realize is that application is a legal document. You are certifying that you are telling the truth. I had one candidate who we got to an offer stage and they had put they didn't need sponsorship. Once we got to offer, they revealed they did. Well, now that candidate not only lost that job, they lost the ability to ever get a job with us again because they
Oh,
falsified information.
so it becomes a something you can track
Yes.
in the ATS or
Yes.
okay, see that? That's
So
why
like we
people
have
don't like
different
the.
dispositioning reasons. So like we can assign a reason of, you know, like no call, no show. If somebody no call, no shows on their interview, if you see that ever again, you're probably not giving them a second chance. We can assign a reason of just, general kind of not qualified. We can say no because of salary, no because of sponsorship, no because of dishonesty. And then we can leave notes as well that can be tagged onto that person's profile when you click on their name.
So just a few more random questions. I appreciate you taking the time with me today, but
No
I
problem.
I could talk to you forever. You got a lot of great stories and history. It's popular now. Must be a law if I see it more than 5 or 6 times when applying that these questions about I don't know what you call it, health or like if you're
Like the
Caucasian, race or whatever it is.
so the EEO
Yeah.
surveys.
Yeah. Are those are required and what are they used for?
So we don't see those in talent acquisition. So people do not have to worry about, if I'm transgender, which one do I mark? If I have a disability, am I honest about it? Do I just put, unwilling to answer? Same with like the veterans. It's more a demographic survey. So HR can go in and pull and say, X% of all of our job applicants were female. X% of our actual employees, though, are female. And you can even drill it down by like department. So females tend to dominate the admin clerical field. And I know I was having a vendor call when I was on the agency side, and the vendor or the client was really upset. They're like, 90% of your admin candidates are female. Well, it's not that I'm having a bias, it's probably that 90% of the industry is made up by females. I suspect in like our IT roles, it was a little bit heavier male dominated. I've seen more IT administrators be men than women. So it's not necessarily a bias. It's not anything that's tied to your profile that I can see as a recruiter. HR is not going in and looking to say, oh, what did Sarah mark as her answers? It's more for company demographics and reporting that they can say these are kind of the breakdowns of our applicants, of our employees. Like working at iHeartRadio, we'd report those things to the FCC so that the FCC could track as well.
What about the medical questions? Like I don't know how to answer them. Do you have dandruff? Have you ever had, everybody's had some. I mean, if you look at that list,
Right. The
everybody's
list of disabilities.
yeah,
Yeah.
whether it's pre-diabetes or whatever it is. I mean, it's just society.
Yep.
What are those you?
Um, Same thing, just kind of general, we employ X number of people who identify as being disabled. Obviously, there's different levels of that, right? Like, is it a physical disability? Is it a mental disability? Is it, like you said, more just health related where it's, pre-diabetes and it's probably not affecting you at this point? It can also, I guess, be tied back in the end if, you end up needing a medical accommodation for some reason because of your disability. You could always go back and say, look, like on my application, I even put I have a disability. So you were aware of it from the time I applied, type of a thing. Again, not that the recruiters see it, not that the hiring manager sees it. Not that HR is looking at each individual one, but if they want to then go backtrack, they could see that.
That does make sense. I mean, you want to be fair to everybody. You don't want to discriminate, I guess, for
Right.
for any situation. I don't care what it is.
And that's something like in talent acquisition, we should all be eliminating bias. I will say I had great leaders who kind of taught that from the get-go. So most of the time, like when I'm opening somebody's application, I truthfully probably haven't even looked at their name. I clicked on the application, I'm pulling up their resume, I'm looking at their experience, I'm reviewing the knockout questions, and then I'm sending an email to them to schedule where, like I said, I may not even know who I sent that email to. It was just a resume with great experience.
What's a knockout question? That scares me.
So those would be like those questions at the beginning of an application asking, are you 18 or over? Are you legally eligible to work in this country? Do you need sponsorship? The salary can be a knockout question as well. So those are things we can easily filter where we can go to another screen and I can put, filter by everyone who says that they are not 18 yet. Generally, there's not many of those, but okay, I can disposition those candidates. We can't hire them anyways. My role doesn't allow sponsorship. Filter by everyone who said they need sponsorship. Disposition those candidates because I can't hire them. Look at what people put for salary. If my rule generally is I'll talk to someone, depending on what the salary is, anywhere from 10 to 20% over my salary, because maybe there's something that we can negotiate. An extra week of PTO, maybe this is remote, so they're willing to go down a little bit. Maybe we have, like my sister, 10 weeks of vacation and sick time combined. So I'm going to take less money if I can have 10 weeks off in the year. That's great. So things like that we can knock out based on where we're kind of just shortening our pool and making it a little bit smaller for the applications and resumes we actually do have to manually review.
Back to the medical questions is something I've noticed on your LinkedIn posts that you're not afraid to address the mental health side of job search. And can you share anything there, or you
Yeah,
know it's important?
obviously rejection hurts. No one wants to be rejected, and you get rejected 1,800 times. That can be very tolling. And I feel people in the job search often feel like they're on an island by themselves. They're not seen, they're not validated, they have nobody to turn to. So I post a lot just kind of saying, hey, if you're going through something tough, my inbox is always open. Feel free to reach out to me. I may not know exactly what you're going through, but I've been in this job market. I faced rejection myself. We kind of need the community to support each other.
That was one of the key reasons I wanted to do these. I haven't figured out why yet, but I saw some such people sharing their hearts, anguish, whatever you want to call it, on LinkedIn, and I've never seen that in my career. And I thought something is happening here, and maybe they just need help. They need to be heard.
Need a little bit of a lifeline.
So I appreciate you at least addressing some of those things on LinkedIn. And speaking of the LinkedIn, what's your thoughts on the green badge, the open to work?
I like it as a recruiter because if I don't have LinkedIn Recruiter where I can have that sneak peek of who has the hidden open to work filter on, this way I know it's going to be, an easier outreach. This person's at least receptive. It's not quite as cold. I will say it stinks when you first put it up. I think the first 24 hours I had mine up, I probably got a dozen scammers or the resume writers, your resume is not ATS compliant, which is not even a thing. So I wish they'd stop saying it and please stop trying to peddle that to people who know it's not a thing. Um, so right away, it's rough. But at this point, now that mine's been up for almost 8 months, I get very few scammers reaching out to me. I get more of them just posting saying, hey, contact this person at gmail.com who can be your career coach, or we have this job at Boeing, contact, so and so at Hotmail. Like, Boeing's not using Hotmail.
Yeah. I just had this happen today on that scammer thing. I think it was a scammer. I didn't wait around long enough to figure it out. But I accepted a link from somebody. They said they were in HR. And before I looked at them, and then I went and looked, and it was a lady from Nigeria, which is fine. I don't want to cast any shadows. But as soon as I accepted it, I started getting this barrage of messages. And it's like, hey, can we talk? Blah, blah, blah. And I was like, I'd never seen that before. I
Right.
assume that's a scam.
Yes. Another good indication is they have no followers. They say they've been, no followers, no connections. They say they've been in whatever, these leadership level roles for 20 years. Pretty good indication of a scammer. There's there's not that many newly created LinkedIn profiles for someone that's going to be in senior leadership.
Well, you got to do your research because unfortunately, in these tough times in the job search, there are people out there that will try to take advantage. LinkedIn, what do you use, free or premium?
I have premium right now, but I'm on a free trial of it. My trial expires in about a month, so I'm not sure what I'm going to do at that point. I do like the premium features, but I don't know if it's worth it to me while not working to kind of shell out that kind of money, especially because I don't have an unemployment coming in. So if I don't have contract hours, I'm making no money.
What other platforms do you use besides LinkedIn? Indeed, are there others out there you suggest?
I found Indeed is great for the blue collar jobs, like when I'm sourcing for candidates. First, LinkedIn, which is a little bit more heavy on the white collar side. As far as in my own search, I've really heavily relied on LinkedIn. I also will scroll posts and look for people posting jobs versus just relying on whatever is in that promoted section, because I feel that promoted section doesn't really update that often. It's kind of the same 20 jobs that I see on repeat over and over. If someone in, my network is posting contract roles, I reach out to them, I comment, I send a connection request, I follow up. I also include a message in my connection request on why I want to connect instead of just a cold connect saying, I saw this post, I have these questions, or I applied here. I give them a little context behind it, and then I'll send a follow-up message when I see that they've accepted my request if I don't get a reply within a day or two.
Just for anybody that's listening, the free version, you're limited on how many comments you can add or notes you can add to a LinkedIn request. So I reach my maximum about 1 week into the month. So that's a benefit of the premium. You can add,
You
I
can
want
add
to say
more.
unlimited comments, but more comments.
Yeah, I've definitely limited out. So it depends. I don't know how many we get to connect with, but it's a per week versus a per month. And then you're still obviously limited to that 300 character message for a generic connection message, or you get, I don't even know how many in-mail credits per month, but you get in-mail credits to send longer messages if you'd like.
And you said something else. Maybe I heard what I wanted to hear, but when somebody accepts your LinkedIn invitation, do you follow up with them? Thank
I
you.
do.
So that personal touch.
Yes. Because once they've accepted, then it opens it up where I'm not constrained to 300 characters, so I can, kind of put my full message out to them versus just a little quick, I mean, smaller than even an elevator pitch, that you give in that first connection.
One of your strategies is sharing, which I appreciate and enjoy on LinkedIn with your comments and posts. Has that been helpful for you, either personally or professionally or both?
I guess it's probably more personally fulfilling than it has been professionally. The near miss from earlier this week, late last week, that was a result of my posting where it was somebody, semi-local who had seen my posts and thought maybe she had a solution to both of our problems. But unfortunately, it did not work out. So, just on the personal side, like having that human connection, being able to help people and assist them through what is often one of the most scariest times of your life, having to wonder what you're going to do to feed your family, pay your rent, keep the lights on, whatever it may be. So just trying to kind of shed light on, some of the myths and what really is true, what's going on behind the scenes.
That's the thing. I think people need to understand it. You need to have that human connection. It's easy to sit behind the LinkedIn keyboard and just be typing away and sending notes. You're really not connecting just because you're sending notes. And over time, that's why I don't think it's an 8 hour a day job to look for a job, because unless you're networking, then if you're
Mhm.
networking, you're talking to people. So last question for you. Why did you agree to be a guest on this show? I think you're an influencer, but I'm just curious why you agreed to be on the show.
Like you, I just like connecting and helping people. If we do another segment, we can always walk through kind of a workday application or things along those lines, common grievances for the average job seeker. So I think part of why I agreed to do it as well is just spreading awareness. If it leads to any kind of a role for me, wonderful. But if there's a tip or trick that helps the average job seeker, that's really more my goal.
Well, great. I appreciate it. And I think you're really, I don't want to say setting the record straight, but that's kind of what you're doing. I think you said there's no such thing as an ATS compliant resume. I'm sure that's a point of debate. Not for me, but I'm saying I
Right.
can find other people that would disagree with you. But
If
and
you can
then
upload it, it's compliant.
Yeah,
If
and
it attaches.
using the badge, the open to work, whatever thing. So there's a lot of different philosophies out there, and I think your perspective is fairly unique. And also, I want to share you were a guest on another show. I don't want to say competing show because it's all for fun. It's called Christian Conversations with, and the Christian is the person, Christian Harris. I watched that show in preparation for this one, so you're kind of a celebrity in this space. If we have one, I think you're probably the most popular one.
Oh, well, thank you.
Did you enjoy that? That was fun for you as well.
It was. It's always fun for me connecting with people. I majored in anthropology, which is human behavior, and I kind of put a focus on the cultural side. So I've always loved just learning about different people and their backgrounds and kind of what led them to where they are and the whys behind it. So any opportunity I get to connect with people, I'm always grateful for.
It's super. Well, I appreciate your time, Sarah,
Thank you.
and I appreciate you sharing with us. And again, your perspective is fairly. You're a recruiter. You see from the other side of the table. Plus, you're in job search mode, so you have a multifaceted view of what's going on.
Yes, and hopefully it's made me, a better recruiter in the long run as well, given me a little bit more of a unique perspective than somebody who's never been through this market.
And if somebody wants to connect with you, either I suppose through LinkedIn's the easiest way. They can do that.
Absolutely, just send me a LinkedIn request. If you put a comment in it as to why you're looking to connect, great. You'll get a response the second I accept that connection request. Otherwise, feel free to comment on posts or reach out with an in-mail if you want to. I generally suggest not spending the money on an in-mail to me. Just send me that connection request, and once I accept, send the message.
And if somebody's just watching the show, they've got an open role, what would be the great opportunity for you, for them to call you? What type of role?
My ideal role would be an internal talent acquisition role. I like being, inside of one company and really getting to partner and be that trusted resource. So if somebody has a role like that, ideally remote just because of where I live. I also do play competitive softball yet, so I travel most weekends. And if I have a remote role, it's just less time that I'm away from my actual work. So I can, leave on a Thursday night, stay in a hotel on Friday, work from there, and still be on a field by 6 o'clock Friday night, even if it's 4 hours away from my home.
So if somebody has a great job, internal talent acquisition, and they need a shortstop for their corporate softball team, you're the one.
I guess I can cover those bases for them. Yes.
I got it. I got it. A shortstop was a guess. I don't know what you do.
I am not, but maybe
Okay.
on a like league team for work, I could double as that. But
League
in the
team.
competitive world, we have people who are a little bit more agile and younger than I am on my team.
Sure. There's always going to be those. There's always going to be those.
Yes.
Well, Sarah Weiner, thank you again for joining me today. Again, the goals of this series is to give the guests a platform to share their ideas and thoughts, hopefully provide motivation and hope to others, and share job search ideas, which I think I wasn't keeping count, Sarah, but I think I got five or six just through yours, and I'm sure we've got many more than that. So if you're interested in being a guest on the show, send a note to me at chris@thscdr.com or reach out to me direct on LinkedIn. And thanks for watching.